Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our special live coverage on KTV as we continue to follow the latest developments surrounding the ongoing regional tensions and their wider implications for the Middle East and the whole world. The situation continues to evolve rapidly, with security, diplomatic, and strategic dimensions unfolding across the region. Governments and international actors are closely monitoring the developments, while efforts are ongoing to prevent further escalation and to maintain regional stability. In times like these, understanding the broader strategic context is essential. Beyond the immediate events on the ground, analysts and policymakers are closely examining what these developments could mean for regional security, international relations, and the balance of power in the Middle East. We'll begin with a report that will speak on the Strait of Hormuz, as Iran appears to be setting up itself as the gatekeeper of the crucial waterway in the Strait, the world's most important artery for oil shipments. Traffic through the strait has fallen by 90% since the start of the war. However, some ships appear to have been allowed through following some diplomatic pressure. More on that in this report.
The closure of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran is a military strategy with vast consequences for the global economy, not just in the form of higher oil prices, but with disruption in oil chains involving metals and manufacturing, and farming and food prices. Iran appears to be setting itself up as the gatekeeper for crucial waterway Strait of Hormuz, the world's most important artery for oil shipments. Traffic through the strait has fallen by 90% since the start of Iran war, but some ships appears to have been allowed through following diplomatic pressure. The development comes after Iran said India and 4 other friendly nations would be allowed to move their ships through the Strait of Hormuz amid the conflict. Since the war began a month ago, at least 4 India-flagged ships have crossed Strait of Hormuz, moving towards the Gulf of Oman. Furthermore, a Thai oil tanker has safely passed through the Strait of Hormuz, following diplomatic coordination between Thailand and Iran. The safe transit for the Thai tanker comes 2 weeks after Thailand-flagged bulk carrier Muri Neri was attacked by Iranian projectiles in the strait, causing a fire on board and forcing the crew to evacuate. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar said Iran has agreed to follow an additional 20 Pakistani-flagged vessels to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Thus, the passageway of the vessels offer a measure of relief for those countries, which, like many of their neighbors, have seen sharp spikes in fuel prices due to the war in Iran.
Joining us now in the studio is engineer Jafar Al-Bazzaz, an expert in oil and gas affairs with extensive experience in the energy sector and a deep understanding of regional and global market dynamics. He joins us at a critical moment as ongoing developments in the region continue to raise concerns over energy security, supply stability, and the potential impact on global oil prices. With key maritime routes such as the Strait of Hormuz under heightened attention, his insights will help us better understand how these tensions could shape the outlook for both regional producers and international markets. Mr. Al-Bazzaz, thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very much for this invitation. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Kuwait TV and also myself and all the Kuwaitis and non-Kuwaitis in Kuwait and GCC countries are praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to finish this war quickly.
Inshallah, sir. Inshallah. Could you tell us what the extent of the economies of the Gulf states have been affected by the closure of the strait?
Yes. Let's talk about the event's consequences that led to this crisis first. And then let's talk about the importance of Strait of Hormuz. Secondly, then we'll go to the impacts on GCC economies. First, we all witnessed that a lot of several negotiations been taking place in Geneva, Switzerland between the 6th of February and until the 26th of the previous month, yes. And all reports shows that the negotiations were very positive. But unfortunately, on the 28th of February, 2 days after the previous negotiations, the war started.
We saw from the Omani foreign minister that Iran had accepted a lot of conditions that we previously thought they would never accept.
Correct.
So on this point of we were close to a deal and then the attack happened.
Yes, true. All reports highlighted the same. All reports highlighted the same. The negotiations were very positive. And they were very close to approach and reach deals, okay, about the nuclear plants in Iran.
They were scheduling a technical meeting to figure out the technicalities of the entire process.
Correct. But nobody knows. On 28th of the previous month, the war started, and it is a crisis for the whole world. This is the consequences of the events. Now let's talk about the importance of Strait of Hormuz. Almost 20% of the global oil passes through this narrow passage. Surprise.
Narrow is the key term in this situation.
Yeah, narrow passage, okay. And a lot of other products passes also through this passage. In addition to Qatar's LNG, okay, passing through this canal or through this narrow passage, strait. So this will give you how Strait of Hormuz is very important. Okay. Now the impact on GCC countries' economies. You know, when we said 20% of the global oil, okay, passing through this, means that almost 15.8 million barrels per day passing through this strait. Okay, this is almost costs $1.1 billion US per day. This is, of course, includes GCC countries and Iraq together. So it is very huge cost and losses to these countries, okay, on each day regarding the closure of Strait of Hormuz. Moreover, attacking the infrastructure in GCC countries, of course, will make threat, okay? In addition to that, this will affect aviation and tourism in these countries, okay? Last but not least, or even let me talk about logistics cost as well. You know, logistics cost will be very high. Surprise, surprise, shipping prices being increased by $420,000 US per day. Okay, and last but not least, you know that the GCC countries are importing most of their products and goods.
Sure. And
all these passing through Strait of Hormuz. Here I would like to highlight the very great role of our neighbors, Saudi Arabia, and also Oman, okay, that they facilitate, okay, all their facilities just to secure the availability and the availability of the goods and the products to the GCC countries. So thank you very much for them. And this is, it's not strange, to be honest, because we are one family located in different places.
Now, about the impact on oil prices, we have the closing of the strait, and as you just mentioned, the attacking of the facilities and infrastructure to produce oil and gas. Of these two, which one do you think would have a greater impact? Because you could rebuild the facilities and find different routes. But if the strait is closed, will that impact more than the damaged facilities or vice versa?
Both.
Both.
Both. You're talking about supply and demand.
Mhm.
This is a very, let me say, common fundamental in oil market. Okay, so now the oil prices are very high just because of less supply.
Mhm.
We have a shortage in supply. As we said, 20% of the global supply being stopped,
Yes.
okay, regarding or because of closure of Strait of Hormuz.
And we are seeing the IEA and other countries releasing from their reserves.
Correct. We'll talk about this maybe later.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is important. This is, or just the talk itself, the statement itself, has an impact on the oil market.
True, we see Trump releasing
And
statements to
correct,
calm down prices.
Correct.
But how long can this last? Because eventually the reality will set in.
Depends upon the market. How good or bad the market will observe this statement.
Now, sir, how can the Gulf economies withstand the shocks to their markets? Or will this become a sort of structural challenge and force us to structurally change?
Well, challenges have to be done. I believe in GCC countries, and I think they are smart enough to find the solutions to override these conflicts. So for the time being, they are rely on Strait of Hormuz, except only Saudi Arabia.
Mhm.
They have an access to the Red Sea through Yanbu terminal, and also United Arab Emirates has an access on the Indian Ocean through the Fujairah terminal. But again, the majority or more dependence on Strait of Hormuz.
Now, we do understand that there is a pipeline in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
But I believe that can only hold, some numbers say it's 5 to 7 million.
7 million barrels per day.
But 7 million is
Yeah.
not enough to make up for the loss of the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes. These pipelines and the export through Yanbu terminal is almost 7 million barrel per day. And also from Fujairah terminal, for the UAE, they are exporting between 1.5 to 1.8 million barrel per day. But again, this is not enough.
Yes.
In addition to that, using the Red Sea also has a risk because you are facing Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. And if we can remember that in the past, Strait of Bab el-Mandeb been attacked,
Yes.
and was a target.
And the Houthis have announced in the last few days that they are entering the war now.
Exactly.
So what are the, let's say, options to reroute the movement of oil here?
For the time being, we don't have
Another option.
another options. Yes, Strait of Hormuz, and as I said, these two facilities available by Saudi Arabia and Emirates. But in the future, I think they are okay.
Now, what can you tell us about the Gulf central banks dealing with the inflationary pressures that are being put on the markets from the war and the rising energy prices?
GCC central banks are managing this, let me say, inflationary situation through a mix of with the U.S. Federal Reserve. Okay, and let's talk about Kuwait in particular. Kuwait Central Bank acts dependently. Okay, because the Kuwaiti dinar poses with or is backed with a basket of
Currencies.
different multiple currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are okay.
Now, we've witnessed attacks on a lot of facilities in Kuwait, such as the airport, the radars in the airport, the fuel tanks, the Mubarak Kabir ports, Shueikh ports as well as other countries in the Gulf who have been having their, let's say, shipping facilities attacked. How do you interpret this move? Is it a complete paralysis of the ability, or sort of sending a message to the Gulf?
Yeah. Well, it's not only these airlines being affected, as you said, Emirates Airlines, Qatar, and Etihad. It's all the airlines in the world being affected from this crisis. Let's take an example like Kuwait Airways and Jazeera Airlines. Both of them being affected. And our airports here in Kuwait totally closed, total shutdown. They just established some few flights from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Emirates Airlines reduced their flights by 90% because Dubai airport's been attacked.
Yes, and that's one of the busiest
Exactly.
in the world.
And let me say about 10% of the available flights being rerouted. Okay, used very long routes. And this is very costly because
Now
you are
need
using
more oil.
more
Yes.
fuel. Okay. Etihad Airlines still operational, and they reduced their flights or aviations by 15%.
Okay.
So they are still
Functioning.
not okay. Okay, reducing and rerouting routes, still not okay, but at least they are operational.
Now, sir, the damages that we're seeing to these oil-producing facilities, these transportation, logistics facilities, will these have long-term effects, or are these just temporary damages right now?
Well, answering this question, effect is effect. Okay. For the time being, currently, yes, we are facing troubles because the infrastructures has been already attacked. In the future, for the long term, we cannot judge right now.
Okay.
Okay, because we don't know how big are these damages. No reports yet.
True.
Okay, and because we don't know how big these damages, we don't know how long the repair will take.
Well, in terms of let's say the LNG, we have heard from Qatar that about 17% of their total natural gas production has been damaged, and it's irreparable damage now for the next, I believe it was 3 to 5 years.
I think 25.
25%
Yes,
now.
yeah, 25 is damaged and 75 still operational.
And we understand that Europe gets most of its gas now
Correct.
from Qatar after the war in Ukraine
Yes,
with
yes.
Russia. So now where does this put Europe? How can they respond to this issue? Are they going to be forced to get natural gas from America at a hiked up price?
We'll see. In war, there is no winner. All are losers.
There's just one who loses more and one who
Correct.
loses less.
Correct. And crisis, okay, yes, some people, let me say, get a benefits from this crisis, and some of them are suffering. Okay. Now, because we are facing a reduction in oil supply, we are facing a reduction in LNG. Okay. Now, I think you heard that Europe already complained about Trump administrations that they are already stopped their importing the gas from Russia. Okay. Also, Australia has natural gas, but again, how much they will pay? How much they will pay?
And this will put further pressure on their
Correct.
industrial capacity,
Correct.
their commercial
Correct.
capacity.
Correct. Everything.
So now the closing of the Strait of Hormuz has effectively put, let's say, a stranglehold or a noose on international
Correct.
economy.
True.
Do you believe that it will take international pressure to find a resolution to this, or the concerned parties, the conflicting parties, will come to the negotiating table on their own.
International pressure.
This is, you think, the
Yes.
only way out now.
The only way, yes.
We are seeing that they're planning to have a meeting in Pakistan.
Yes, this is from one side. Also, Egypt are moving now on the other side. All GCC countries, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, Emirates, all are moving towards stopping this war and opening the Strait of Hormuz and, let me say, going to back to normal. Okay, but international pressure has to be done. I think you heard today or yesterday there were like protests in the US.
Yes, large protests.
Different states, okay, to stop this war. And also against the high prices of the fuel. So all these pressures, okay, will maybe and hopefully, okay, stop the war.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But it seems each side is, let's say, entrenched in their war strategy to get their demands and their conditions met.
Yes.
But sir, though the war has shown that the Gulf isn't just a source of oil or gas or fuel, these petrochemicals are used for many other goods in the world.
Correct.
Let's say fertilizer, which will be crucial in, let's say, the next 4 to 6 months as we begin the farming season now. So even helium industries are affected. How do these industries affect the overall global supply chain?
Yes. Let me just give very brief introductions about upstream and downstream.
Okay.
Okay. We have oil productions. Okay. We have export. Okay, for crude oil, and also some of the crude oil being refined and processed in the local refineries. Okay, so this is the downstream. From the refineries, we are producing, or Kuwait and other GCC countries producing different products, such as gasoline, which used to motors and cars.
Any engine, any
Yes.
combustion engine.
Like, let me say, ATK, aviation kerosene, okay, for fuel for the airplanes, diesel or gas oil for trucks, buses, and heavy machines.
Larger vehicles.
Exactly. And some other gases. And then the bioproducts from the refineries go further, okay, to petrochemicals plants for further processing.
Yes.
Okay, and producing like polyethylene, plastic, filterizers, etc., etc. For example, like the helium is a byproduct of LNG.
Yes.
Okay, and being produced in Qatar in very large quantity. Surprise, surprise, Qatar is producing 33 to 35% of the world's helium. And closing of Strait of Hormuz, okay, means stopping
A
this.
third.
Yes, third.
Of the entire
Exactly.
global production.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is definitely will affect the economy. Definitely will affect the prices. Not only crude prices will be affected, also product prices will be affected.
We're going to see all commercial goods now increase, especially those that rely on plastics, like you said, or other petrochemical solutions. Sir, we were talking...
Sorry, Saudi Arabia holds 74% of the GCC petrochemicals, okay?
In terms of refining the petrol?
No, petrochemicals products,
Okay.
processing,
Okay.
okay, or plants,
Yes.
okay? And the GCC countries producing almost 30% of the world filterizers. And surprise, surprise, they are producing 50% of urea. And you know how urea and fertilizers are important for agriculture
Yes.
and food productions.
Would you say that's why we're seeing Ukraine get more directly involved in this conflict? Because they are an agricultural
Yes,
powerhouse.
yes.
And they need these
Yes,
fertilizers, they need this urea
Yes.
chemicals.
Even Europe,
Europe too.
even
True.
Asia. worldwide.
We are seeing a lot of Asian countries suffer heavily from the lack of oil and energy now.
Yes.
We're seeing one day they're functioning, one day they're closing everything.
And even the manufacturing in Asia as well, because you know the helium is used. One of, let me say, the uses of the helium is for cooling processes for the semiconductor. Okay, which used for processing the microchips.
Which comes down to artificial
Yes.
intelligence now.
So a lot of, let me say, factories, manufacturings are stopped, or at least reduces their capacities because of the shortage.
Sir, earlier we were talking about how Saudi has got a pipeline, the east to west pipeline. What other options are there available to the Gulf today? Maybe this will not be a permanent solution, but just a temporary loophole around this crisis. Are you familiar with any other options?
No. I will put it this way. Still, geography is an issue.
It dictates all
Yes,
things.
geography is an issue to prevent, let me say, a quick solution. Maybe in the future, and maybe GCC countries will take this as a lesson learned and find solutions. But they have to do a lot of challenges. And by the way, I believe in GCC countries. They are smart enough to find the solutions.
What do you think these solutions could look like?
Installing pipelines.
Additional, as in the more pipelines in the east and west
Yes,
system?
maybe. And also, maybe they will make like an artificial canals, similar to Panama Canal. Panama Canal is an artificial canal.
Now, what are the viable places or options to have this artificial canal?
Well,
because as you said, the geography
yes,
dictates all. There's not a lot of places to do this.
Yes, I think, you know, engineering make life easy.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes.
Engineering make life easy. And I think the specialist engineers, okay, definitely will find like a solution for geography.
We're seeing
to
some
install like very long pipelines
Yeah.
or like providing an artificial canals.
We're seeing a lot. I'm not sure if you've seen any of these, but jokes of creating an artificial canal through Emirat and Oman to bypass the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
What is the feasibility of this, or is this just a joke for fun?
No, see, this is an idea. Now, whether it is, let me say, a real idea, real idea, being studied or at least highlighted. And, but I think it's a good idea.
But this would
And-
take time.
Okay, fine. But at least you will end up with a solution.
True.
You will end up with a solution. It will be very costly and it will take time. But at least you have alternative solution
For the future, if
for the
anything
future
were
to
happen.
avoid Strait of Hormuz.
Now, are we witnessing the beginning of a strategic shift towards building, like we were saying, these permanent alternatives? Or will the geography continue to dictate this reality?
Yeah, I think we just highlight this. Geography is an issue. Geography is an issue.
Mr. Al-Bazzaz, we'll continue our interview, but we'll take a short break to take a look at this report.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, amid the escalating tensions within the region, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has visited Gulf states as Kiev seeks to use its drone expertise to help Gulf Arab states blunt Iran's attacks during the war in the Middle East. Following his tour, Ukraine agreed to cooperate on defense with the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, which included the exchange of expertise in countering missiles and unmanned aerial systems. More details in this report.
Ukraine has finalized a series of defense cooperation agreements with key Gulf states, including the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, during President Volodymyr Zelensky's recent diplomatic tour of the region. These developments come amid escalating tensions in the Middle East and continued uncertainty surrounding global security dynamics. In an official statement, Qatar's Ministry of Defense confirmed that Doha and Kiev signed a comprehensive defense cooperation agreement a deal that includes the exchange of expertise in countering missile threats and unmanned aerial systems, as well as broader collaboration in defense technologies that tend to be established during a 10-year framework of partnership between the two countries. This follows similar long-term defense arrangements previously concluded between Ukraine and Saudi Arabia, reinforcing Kiev's strategic push to deepen military and security ties with Gulf nations. During his visit to the UAE, President Zelensky met with His Highness President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, where both leaders agreed to expand bilateral cooperation in the fields of security and defense, further strengthening Ukraine's engagement with the region. These diplomatic efforts take place against the backdrop of ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has disrupted global markets and impacted critical energy routes, including the Strait of Hormuz. The Ukrainian president further sought to strengthen broader political and financial support from Gulf nations for his country's ongoing war with Russia, now entering its fifth year. With Western military assistance facing increasing uncertainty, Kiev is actively seeking alternative sources of funding to address its budget deficit and sustain domestic weapons production. As part of this initiative, more than 200 Ukrainian military and security specialists have reportedly been deployed to advise Middle Eastern countries on countering drone attacks, particularly those targeting energy infrastructure. Discussions during President Zelensky's visit also focused on joint weapons production, knowledge exchange, and ensuring stable energy supplies to Ukraine. Notably, the Ukrainian president confirmed an agreement to secure diesel supplies for a one-year period, although specific details were not disclosed. Earlier in the week, he also visited Saudi Arabia, where an additional defense cooperation agreement was signed, further consolidating Ukraine's strategic outreach to the Gulf region.
Joining us now is Mr. Andreas Minic, member of the Parliament of the Federal Republic of Austria. He joined us to provide a European perspective on the rapidly evolving regional developments as the international attention continues to focus on efforts to contain escalation and push towards a diplomatic resolution. We will be discussing how Europe is viewing these developments and the role it may play in supporting de-escalation efforts. Hello, Mr. Minic. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Hello, wonderful. Hello and warm welcome here also from Austria.
Mr. Minic, could you tell us what message is Europe sending to the Gulf Arab states as the war continues and the repercussions reverberate through the region and the world?
Yes, the United Arab States are our most important strategic partner in the Gulf area. And that's why Europe is very concerned about the attacks from the Islamic Republic into the United Arab Emirates. And that's a big tragedy. That there has been these attacks from Islamic Republic, and we are completely sorry for that. You're getting most, actually, from all the missile attacks and drone attacks, that they're all towards the United Arab Emirates. And Europe sends a big message of solidarity towards you, that we stand with the people of the United Emirates.
And sir, what is Europe's main concerns regarding security, energy, and maritime threats after a month into this war now?
It's actually, we are seeing it on every gas station. We are seeing it at every grocery store. We are seeing it in almost all fields of productivity, that the costs of living are increasing by a lot, because it is an escalation for the whole world. It's a worldwide crisis with, on one hand, the attack on the infrastructure for the oil industry. On the other hand, also the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So this is having big consequences for the whole world, and also, of course, for Europe. And we are very, very much worried about how long this war will be going on. And we are worried about the security and the safety, also about the people in the Gulf states.
And sir, could you tell us about the substance of the EU's Black Sea Initiative and its efforts to guarantee freedom of navigation, and how this could be applied to the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, we are very thankful that we have this Black Sea grain contract, actually, which secures and provides like all the grain transportation from Ukraine to the rest in the world. And I think also through ports of the Gulf states, it's very important that we find maybe a solution like this also for the Strait of Hormuz. Although I think if there will not be any diplomatic solution, I think we will see a military solution, probably.
Now, Mr. Minic, how do you regard the European stance to the war so far? Is Europe on a united front, or is there division within the ranks right now?
Actually, Europe is very much united. We are actually all condemning the attacks from the Islamic Republic, I think, to now more than 50 countries in the region. I think it's very important that we show this solidarity and that we show this unity. Of course, everybody in Europe hopes that this war will come to an end very, very soon, and that everything can be rebuilt again, and that we are there also to help and provide our services to our partners in the regions, especially the United Arab Emirates.
And Mr. Minic, could you tell us to what extent is Europe still an influential player in the global stage, or is it just operating within the parameters defined by Washington?
Of course, Washington is making the pace at the moment. There is no doubt about that. The big issue is that the European Union is standing together politically, but we don't have.
Hello, Mr. Minic. Well, it seems we're having some slight technical difficulties and we've lost contact with our call from Austria. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after this short break.
تأكد جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي جاهزيتها للاستجابة للطوارئ والكوارث في ظل الأوضاع الجيوسياسية الحاصلة في المنطقة. جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي تعمل من ضمن منظومة إنسانية متكاملة مع مؤسسات دولة الكويت من حيث الاستجابة السريعة وتجهيز المتطوعين من ضمن أفرقة مختلفة للاستجابة للطوارئ في سرعة قصوى. يعد متطوعين جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي من المتطوعين اللي تم تدريبهم مكثفاً في الإسعافات الأولية والاستجابة للكوارث والاستجابة الميدانية. تؤكد جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي جاهزيتها الميدانية ورفع جاهزيتها من حيث الاستجابة للطوارئ في حالات اللي يتم ندائها. بالنسبة للمخزون الاستراتيجي لجمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي فإحنا على أتم الاستعداد للاستجابة في حال النداء من قبل مؤسسات حكومة دولة الكويت.
Now we'll be rejoined by Mr. Andreas Minic, the Member of Parliament of the Federal Republic of Austria. Mr. Minic, you were telling us just now about how Europe is an influential player in the global arena and how we can say either it's an influential player or it is operating in the parameters that are set by Washington. What can you tell us about this?
Military-wise, Washington is of course setting the perimeters. But politically, I think it is also decisive what Europe, with the biggest consumer market and as a global power economically, has to say and what is on the agenda in Europe. But at the moment, we see that facts are made militarily. On the one side by Washington and on the other side by the Islamic Republic.
Now, sir, do you believe that Europe has failed to prevent escalation despite its nuclear agreement with Iran? Or do you believe this is solely on Trump for unilaterally withdrawing from the JCPOA earlier?
Actually, the JCPOA was, at the beginning, I think, a very, very, very good and important roadmap for peace. Unfortunately, all the money which got sent to the Islamic Republic have not been used for the people in Iran and for the people in the region to build up new infrastructure, to build up, to make prosperity, to make peace in the region. Unfortunately, that money got all invested into proxies and terror funding. And now we see that it was a big mistake to do this.
Mr. Minic, could you tell us how the European economies have been affected by the rising energy prices and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz?
Important parts and tourism and all the other things. And so we see that this was maybe not the wisest decision.
Now, sir, is Europe more economically fragile today than it was during the Ukraine crisis, or do you believe it's become more resilient?
Europe certainly got more resilient. We have learned our lessons, and there's a big diversification in supply chains and also in many other ways on the daily basis. But it is showing us once more again that every crisis we have nowadays on this planet is a crisis for everybody in this world. And everybody is hit quite hard. And that's why it's very important that we find solutions for this crisis very, very soon.
Now, Mr. Minic, before we let you go, our final question is, to what extent has this war affected supply chains and inflation in the European Union? And are we facing a new wave of recession in Europe and possibly the whole world as a result of the overlapping crises, let's say the war in Ukraine and now the war here in the Middle East?
Actually, we were on the path of recovering in Europe and also in Austria. Our economy experts were actually forecasting that our economy will start growing a little bit stronger again. This is now, after 2 months in this year, unfortunately now at a halt. And we see very dark clouds of recession coming towards us because of this blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, and also on this heavy war on very, very crucial oil infrastructure. And that shows how important it is to have alliances and strengthen security and having strategic partnerships everywhere. And for Europe, this is affecting us very, very strongly in the supply chains. And like I said in the beginning, we see it now in our daily life, not only at the gas station, we see it in the products of the daily life with foods and vegetables and all the other lines of product up to computers. Everything is unfortunately getting more expensive. So unfortunately, we are sitting all in the same boat. We are sitting all in the same world. Unfortunately, we have to hope that this war gets over very soon.
Well, Mr. Andrius Minic, I'd just like to thank you again for sharing your time and your expertise and insights during this difficult crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Andrius Minic, the Member of Parliament of the Federal Republic of Austria. Now we'll continue our interview with our esteemed guests in the studio, but after this break.
قوة الإطفاء العام على استعداد تام وجاهزية للتعامل مع أي طارئ على مدار الساعة من خلال مراكزها البرية والبحرية والمطارات، ونحن نعمل وفق خطط طوارئ متكاملة بتجهيزات متطورة وكوادر مدربة على أعلى مستوى لضمان سرعة الاستجابة وكفاءة التعامل مع مختلف البلاغات سواء كانت خطرة أو بسيطة. وهذا الاستعداد والجاهزية لدينا مستمرة على مدار العام حفاظاً على سلامة الأرواح والممتلكات وتحقيق الأمن المجتمعي.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our interview with engineer Jafar Al-Bazzaz. Mr. Al-Bazzaz, let's continue with this point. If the war were to end today, how long would it take for the Gulf countries' oil and gas facilities and other vital infrastructures to return to full operational capacity?
Well, let's talk about Kuwait and Qatar
Okay.
as an example, because there are statements regarding their facilities. The CEO of KBC in Kuwait, Mr. Sheikh Nawaf Sabah, already stated that it will take like between 3 to 4 months to again back to normal production. Okay, because you know, in oil industry, it's not like a push button
Yes.
to again resume the duties with a full capacity. It takes a lot of operational procedures, okay, to do so. And for Qatar also, there was a statement by somebody from Qatar Gas, because the damage we already highlighted, almost the damage is 25% of the total plant capacity, and this will take between 3 to 4 years to repair this damage and back to normal production.
At first, we were speaking of when Qatar had chosen to shut down production of natural gas
Yeah,
because you cannot store it, you don't have anywhere to store it. Just the restarting of the facility would take a couple of weeks, maybe a month,
Correct.
and month and a half. But now we're seeing actual damage to the infrastructure, and you're saying this will take 3 to 4 years.
correct.
Now,
Even maybe more.
even maybe more.
Yes.
So how far does this
Depends
set
how
back?
severe is the damages.
And we haven't seen any reports about the
Correct.
severity
No,
of the damage.
still,
This is
yes.
very sensitive information.
Very sensitive and I think very confidential.
Is there any moment in history, any incident or crisis in history that is similar to this that you can draw some parallels to?
Well, attacking, I don't really know. But like mishaps, yes. Let me say, instrumentation malfunctions or operational mistakes leading to a crisis and damages, yes. And it takes like some of them years to back to. For example, what happened in June 2000 in Mina Al Ahmadi refinery, when the explosion occurred, it took like years to repair the refinery and back to normal capacity.
So now we're a month into this war and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. To what extent has the global economy been affected? I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but could you give us, let's say, an overall view of the impact it's had?
Yes, definitely the whole world been affected. We all agree about this. And globally, all the factories, manufacturers, even surprise, the agricultures, because like in India, they use like trucks and heavy machines for rotations and other things for agricultures in their fields. So like with low fuel, diesel fuel or gas oil fuel, these machines will be stopped. So again, the products will be less. So the whole world will be is affected by this crisis. Some of them are high, some of them are medium, some of them are low. For example, in GCC countries,
It's
are
very high
affected
pressure.
very high.
Yeah.
Very high, because first of all, we almost stop exporting, and also importing of goods and products are facing like difficulties. In addition to that, we are facing attacks on the infrastructures. So all these will cost a lot and will impact on economies.
So would you say that there's a sort of, let's say, a spillover of pressure on world economies and therefore pressure on geopolitical stances? Do you think this will divide the world? Let's say the Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, will push one party to do one thing whereas in Europe they may push another party to do another thing.
Maybe.
So you see this as further fracturing
Yes,
the
maybe.
global order?
Maybe. And hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
But let's say, what is a worst case scenario of this spillover of pressure?
I'll just set up an example.
Okay.
Now, for example, if we are in a desert and people are very thirsty and there is only one bottle of water, so there'll be a fight on this water,
Yes.
correct? It's a matter of life,
It's a matter of survival now.
surviving, okay? It's similar to the fuel. Now, every single region in the world, they want to secure their fuel because they want to secure their
Local
factories and
industries,
manufacturing.
local agriculture.
Yes, and normal life.
As we saw from the Ukrainian president,
Yes,
he took a Middle East tour to guarantee some supplies
correct,
of energy.
correct.
Now, sir, are we facing a real risk of entering stagflation phase, similar to the crisis in the 1970s? Or are the tools of the global economy capable of absorbing the shock and reconfiguring the system?
Yes, this is a nice question, and we are really enter the risk of stagflation window. We already entered this, and I believe in the current structural tools because it's more advanced than what when it was in the 1970s. So we'll get over it.
Mr. El-Bazzaz, we have to just take a short break to take a look at this report and possibly a phone call. But if you stay with us, we'll continue and complete this interview with you, sir.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. Central Command announced that a task force of roughly 3,500 Marines and sailors have arrived in the Middle East, marking a broader U.S. military buildup tied to the ongoing war with Iran, with amphibious forces capable of conducting both sea-based strikes and ground operations. This report brings us more.
The U.S. Central Command has announced the arrival of a powerful amphibious force led by the USS Tripoli, carrying thousands of Marines, advanced aircraft, and strikes capabilities into the region. In a statement posted on its official page on X, the CENTCOM said the contingent, consisting of 3,500 sailors and Marines, arrived aboard the USS Tripoli in the U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility. The assault ship possesses advanced assault capabilities and sophisticated tactical assets, and carries the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. Meanwhile, the CENTCOM denied claims by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard that it had targeted U.S. hideout in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The CENTCOM affirmed that no U.S. personnel have been attacked in Dubai. On Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy for Middle East, Steve Witkoff, indicated that his country proposed a 15-point deal for Iran to end the war.
It's unlikely we're going to lose any conflict with Iran. On the other hand, we also have a president who believes in elegant solutions. And elegant solutions are diplomatic solutions. We have a 15-point deal on the table that the Iranians have had for a bit of time. We expect an answer from them, and it would solve it all.
This comes in as Trump announced the extension of suspending striking Iran energy facilities for 10 days after he had delayed his threats to strike them this week. The pace of U.S. military operations against Iran is escalating as Washington seeks to undermine the Iranian military structure.
And joining us now is Dr. Hamid Athnayan, Assistant Professor of Political Science at Kuwait University. He joins us to offer an academic and regional perspective on the current developments, as well as the broader political implications of the ongoing tensions. We'll be discussing how these dynamics are shaping regional stability and what they could mean for the trajectory of the crisis moving forward. Hello, Doctor. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Now, Doctor, how do you interpret, let's say, the Iraqi National Security Council's decision to authorize the Popular Mobilization Forces to respond and defend themselves after the recent targeting of vital Kuwaiti facilities?
I think that's a significant development, Mohammed. Baghdad just handed the keys to its foreign policy to Iran-backed militias. These PMS-linked groups launched strikes on vital Kuwaiti facilities, for its water, electricity infrastructure. Yet, the Iraqi National Security Council response wasn't to rein them in. It was to greenlight the PMS to, quote, respond and defend themselves. with all available. This isn't self-defense. The state-sanctioned escalation. We've heard from Gulf states, including Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, as well as Jordan, issuing a joint demand requiring the government of Iraq to stop attacks from the Iraqi source. Instead, as you mentioned, the Prime Minister's Sudanese Council empowered the very militias doing the attacking, proving that the Iraqi state has basically zero monopoly on violence. So, in a sense, the Iraqi government is confessing its own irrelevance. The PMF, as you know, is officially part of Iraq's security forces, yet it operates as Tehran's forward base, authorizing retaliation, as mentioned in the statement, simply formalizes what everyone already knows, that Baghdad does not control the armed groups. So, if I can summarize it, it would be the Iraqi leadership chose militias over the state, Tehran over Baghdad, and escalation over stability. I think there will be consequences moving forward.
Doctor, to what extent do you believe Kuwaiti diplomacy is capable of containing this crisis? Do we have any concrete guarantees from the central government in Iraq to avoid this spilling over into a direct confrontation in light of the regional crises?
To be honest, I'm not sure what room diplomacy has. Because Kuwait has already done the textbook moves. I mean, presented Baghdad with evidence of Iraqi lunches as early as March 9th, and Kuwait is coordinating with regional allies. The Iraqi response was not restraint, it was formal empowerment, a very active launching attacks and its United States. So I don't believe that anyone gets that the Iraqi officials issued condemnations of, aggressive against Gulf states, while simultaneously granting PMF autonomous retaliation rights. What came from the March 25th Gulf statement explicitly notes that alternatives with Iraq do not preclude self-defense attacks continue. I think a language that signals zero confidence in Baghdad's promises. The core problem we need to remember, Mohammed, that it is structural within Iraq, not diplomatic.
Dr. Hamid, given the growing and widening circle of risk and the accelerating rate of the escalations, what options are available to the Gulf states today?
I think that's a very important question, given the dire consequences that I will raise today. I think the Gulf states face a simple choice. Keep relying on fragile diplomacy, ad hoc intercepts, or shift to credible details. The accelerating pace leaves no room for the Gulf states. I think should immediately and a formal binding U.S. defense pact that treats any attack on one attack on the alliance, complete with the three persistent forces, the integrated air defense. Let me explain this point further. About U.S. government pact would shatter its core strategy in this conflict, driving out between Washington and its partners. It raises the cost of aggression, not only today, but I'm looking to the future. And in today's conflict, it reassures the Gulf states of America's long-term commitment to regional security if they were to play an active role.
Dr. Thnayan, the Kingdom of Bahrain, we saw, submitted a draft resolution under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, authorizing the use of all necessary measures and means to protect navigation and secure global trade. What are the implications of this move at this particular time?
Well, this resolution, after the UN Security Council adopted a resolution condemning their aggression on the Gulf states. So the resolution is a direct indictment of Iran's aggression on the region, but also its blatant attempts to weaponize the Hormuz as a chokehold. Basically, it shifts the Gulf and the world from defensive intercept to authorizing all necessary. So this Security Council resolution would unfold under Chapter 7 is that it authorizes states or perhaps even national naval coalitions to operate in and around the state to secure the passage. Even if Russia and China veto it as expected, in my opinion, it builds the legal and the political foundation for a U.S.-led coalition to anchors, clear the mines, strike even Iranian assets. So basically, the kind of deterrent the Gulf states have been demanding. I think the bigger picture in this resolution is the ultimate for the international community. Will it tolerate an Iranian aggression holding the global economy hostage through threats, choke off the 1/5 of the war, or will it finally reject Tehran with credible force? And this will be the test.
Now, sir, I'm sure we can expect the Gulf states to play a role in the comprehensive agreement aimed to prevent a wider war. What role would that look like? And could you also tell us how you envision the shape of Gulf-Iranian relations post-war?
Well, the Gulf are not only expected to play a role in any comprehensive agreement to prevent a wider war, are demanding a central at the table. They that no deal with Iran can proceed without permanently degrading the drone, the weaponization of the Strait, and providing security against future Iranian the relation between Iran and the I think the future of are quite, to be honest. Effectively damaged all the bridges that Kuwait and Gulf states have built over the these relations will probably settle into some sort of cold, deterrent, armed peace, not this or militarization. We can isolate on living side by side to a more prosperous outcome GCC. At the end of the day, I think we'll be living in a that where security is enforced and negotiated.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Hamid Athnayan, I'd just like to thank you once again for coming on and shedding light on the broader political implications of this ongoing crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now continue our interview with our esteemed guest engineer, Jafar Al-Bazzaz. Sir, earlier we were speaking about the energy reserves that are being released, with Brent crude rising about 55% over original prices before the war, and major powers intervening to release from their strategic reserves to bring the prices down. To what extent can the global strategic reserves compensate for any supply disruptions?
Well, I think not only the North Sea will, let me say, announce or take a benefit of this high prices of the crude oil. But the main issue is just to compensate the shortage of supply. Mm-hmm. And I think we heard Mr. Trump maybe 3 days, 4 days ago, when he agreed to release million of barrels from the strategic reserve.
Now, we saw them do this with the Ukraine-Russia war about 2 years ago, I believe. I've heard reports that they have not even refilled or restocked that strategic reserve, and now they're releasing from this reserve again. So how long can they keep doing this? Until the impact of the closure of the strait and the destruction of facilities will be felt by regular people around the world?
It depends. Yeah, it depends. How much is the production? When this crisis will be over? So many factors.
Now, we've seen from Iran that they've claimed that they will make oil reach 200. Now, they haven't yet.
Correct.
But if they do, what does that scenario look like?
Well, I think for the time being, it will not. Especially as we all saw the crude prices went down. And they went down because of these statements, especially Trump administration. One of the statements to, let me say, release some of the strategic reserved in the US. One of the statements to allow or just move away a little bit the sanctions on Russia and allow for selling the Ural, Russian crude oil. Also, he had a statement that there are some million of barrels of the Iranian oil in the global sea, and he allowed to sell them. So all these statements will pressure on the oil prices and keep the oil prices down. We also that Brent almost reached 110 to 115 US dollar per barrel. Okay, nowadays again back to 90s, correct? So because of these statements, but how the market or the oil market will tolerate all these statements, and the conflict still is ongoing.
That seems to be very contradicting tactics. You could say that, okay, allowing Iranian oil into the global market is to keep the prices down, but now you're giving Iran a higher income to continue to fight this war.
That's why Europe, where, let me say, Europe was very mad about this statement. And they clearly said that there are a lot of sanctions on Islamic Republic of Iran, and now you are allowing to sell some of their crude oils, and by getting this money, again they will rebuild their military forces.
Conceding to one of the conditions that Iran gave America to open the Strait of Hormuz, that you would have to remove the sanctions, and now seemingly we've seen America do that.
Yes.
Sir, before we let you go, what countries are most affected by this crisis, and who stands to gain from this conflict?
Well, I think I mentioned that previously. In the war, no winner, no gain. Everybody is a loser, and this crisis affecting the whole world. Maybe the GCC countries more. And I read a statement in a report mentioned that if the crisis will remain another weeks or months, Europe will be dark. Will be dark.
Yeah.
Because power stations will be off. Okay, and some of Europe has like nuclear power stations, but again they put them out of service, and to start commission these power stations, it will take like time, very long time. So everybody will be affected.
Could you give us, in your own view, what does a best case scenario and a worst case scenario look like for the energy markets?
The best case scenario, let's start with the best things better, is this crisis will be over and diplomatic solutions will take place. Strait of Hormuz will be opened, and again exporting of the crude oils will take place from the GCC countries. Of course, it won't take immediately, gradually and dramatically, but again, at least this is a solution and let me say good scenario. And life back to normal. Okay, and this is the best scenario for the oil market, and prices again will go back to normal before the crisis, almost 60 US barrel per day, okay, per barrel, sorry, 60 US
Dollars per
barrel, yeah. For the worst case scenario, I don't want to say a third world war. Yeah, I don't want to say this, but there are like, what do you call it, indications.
Yes.
Okay, toward a third world war. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But I think you already heard that there is a movement by the Chinese military towards Taiwan, okay, island, and also still the Russian-Ukraine war is going on. Nowadays we have a crisis in the Middle East, especially in the Gulf region, okay, and Europe, your guest just stated that Europe are in a bad position,
yes,
and not agreed about the United States, let me say, decisions and this war. Yeah, the worst case scenario is bad.
Now we are seeing that there are some talks, at least the US is claiming that there are negotiations. I think the problem with these speculations of negotiation is that one side's conditions and the other side's conditions, there is no overlap between any of these conditions. It almost sounds like you're an impossible negotiation to have between these two.
Yes.
Let's say the negotiations happen. What do you think we can expect from direct negotiations between the two?
Well, direct negotiations is very difficult nowadays.
Because Iran has come out and said we cannot trust.
Iran clearly said that we don't want to sit with the American because we don't trust them anymore. Even indirect negotiations been rejected in the past, but nowadays, okay, been accepted, like by Pakistan, Egypt, GCC countries. But again, the let me say the conditions that each country put is very difficult, and there is totally no overlap. No. They don't meet in a...
There's no common ground in
correct,
these conditions.
they don't meet. One of them in a corner, the other one in a different corner. Okay, and I read a report, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, telling that it seems like the US doesn't want to stop this war. Because the negotiation in Geneva, Switzerland, was very effective.
It was the best case scenario for these negotiations.
Correct. And immediately after 2 days, they started the war. And nowadays, they are putting 15 factors, okay, to stop this war. And of course, Iran will not accept. Because I think one of their
conditions?
No, their leaders said, if you couldn't take it in the war, you cannot take it in the negotiation. It's very simple.
Yes.
Okay, so it means that nobody will accept.
So is that what these, the 15-point proposal and the 5-point conditions from Iran, are they sort of doing political theater? They have to begin a negotiation, but they're putting conditions that they know the other side will not and cannot accept.
Maybe. It's very difficult situation right now. It's very so. Both of them have to sacrifice. Both of them to less the requirement. Okay. Again, they should think of a peace in the region. And thinking of the peace in the region, not only to protect people, of course, to protect the world, to protect the economy, to protect the life. Okay, so both sides have to sacrifice.
Now, could you elaborate on this point of that this is a sort of an attack on China, sort of a proxy war between the rising Eastern powers and the what we were used to, the Western dominant. Because China gets most of its oil now from Iran, after we saw the loss of Venezuela, is this sort of a war to fight a future war with China?
The history, there was like, what do you call it, the Cold War between the US and China. And this is still available. Okay, sometimes being very less, sometimes being very high, but still the war is available.
So the Cold War never actually ended.
Never
the
stopped.
players have changed
Correct.
a little bit.
And situations, players, let me say, how sensitive, okay, the war, but the war is available. And yes, this is also what I read in the market reports, that the US, one of their aims for this war against the Islamic Republic of Iran is to indirect hit China, because China almost depends on the GCC oil. And now how bad the Chinese factories in China and manufacturing. So.
And we've seen that one of the conditions for Iran to allow passage through the Strait of Hormuz is that oil must be traded in yuan. So we can see that this is a clear attack on the petrodollar. We're noticing that there's been some resistance to purchasing in the yuan, but we have seen that some countries have been open to this idea. Do you believe the longer the strait stays closed, the more, let's say, appealing trading in the yuan will be for particularly Asian nations who are heavily reliant on Gulf oil?
I think the Republic of Iran now playing so many cards, attacking the Zionist entity, attacking the GCC countries, okay, and also they have the card of closure of Strait of Hormuz, okay, to, let me say, hit the economy and try to make pressure on Trump administration to stop this war. And I believe if this continue, this card will be very successful.
It gets stronger and stronger over time.
Because we already mentioned that protest in the US already started regarding the high prices of fuel.
And already they have very low support for this war. I believe the figure is 20 to 25% actually support Trump's decision to do this war.
Correct.
And beyond that, we still have Congress's role in determining how to, determining if they should declare war. Because so far Trump is saying this is a military operation. The similar rhetoric and language we've seen used by Russia in Ukraine.
Correct.
So let's say a prolonged closure of the strait for 4 to 6 months were to take place. How fast, if you see it happening at all, do countries move from the petrodollar and trading oil in yuan? And what would that do to Gulf economies?
Well, how fast, again, this depends on the action of each country's government. Okay, and this will immediately and directly affect the US dollar. So US dollar will be low. Okay, and I think now the Islamic Republic of Iran allowed some ships to move through Hormuz. Okay, I think Pakistani ships, I think 1 or 2 Iraqi ships, Indian ships, even without fee. Now Iran wants fee, okay, for each ship to move, whether carrying gas, oil, or products. Okay, and they put like $2 million US.
Yes, this is the number that's
per ship, okay, to cross the Strait of Hormuz. But if this long and the closure won't be long. Again, Iran will take this, or take this advantage, taking money from people. I can't imagine, to be honest.
So you're saying in the
imagine.
long term, it is not in Iran's interest to close the strait?
Yeah, it's nobody interest, because this is a very vital and very important, significant passage. So it's not totally not a good for even Iran to close this closure.
Now, what can you
close this strait? I mean,
what can you tell us about the transformation of the world, going from this unipolar system where the Western powers were dominating and sort of dictating how history would unfold, to this crisis, as well as the Ukraine and Russia crisis? We now see a sort of a struggle for power between East and West. What can you tell us about the future unfolding of this struggle?
This is a tough question.
It is a difficult question.
Yeah,
but just in your opinion, what do you briefly think?
Somebody aware of the, let me say, political issues and military issues. Okay, but from my perspective, that the whole world is going in the bad way, the bad direction.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that. And we find a political solution to this crisis.
Hopefully, yes. Everybody wishes that.
Inshallah. Sir, I'd just like to thank you once again for coming to the studio and explaining to the viewers at home the impact it'll have on the energy markets.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was engineer Jafar Al-Bazzaz, an oil and energy expert. Now, as we continue our coverage, Pakistan is hosting the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt for talks on the Iran war, as Islamabad positions itself as a potential venue for U.S.-Iran negotiations on the month-old conflict. Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs reiterated that the foreign ministers will hold in-depth discussions on a range of issues, including efforts to de-escalate tensions in the region during the two-day talks. Here's more in this report.
منظومة الاتصالات بالكويت شغالة بكفاءة عالية ولله الحمد، والهيئة العامة للاتصالات وتقنية المعلومات مستعدة لأي طارئ لا قدر الله. وفي ظل التوترات اللي تمر فيها المنطقة فعلنا خطط الطوارئ وعززنا التعاون مع الجهات المعنية عشان نضمن استقرار الخدمات الرقمية وسرعة الاستجابة لأي مستجد. الوضع تحت المتابعة وكل الجهات المختصة على أتم الجاهزية. عسى الله يحفظ الكويت وأهلها.
تؤكد جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي جاهزيتها للاستجابة للطوارئ والكوارث في ظل الأوضاع الجيوسياسية الحاصلة في المنطقة. جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي تعمل من ضمن منظومة إنسانية متكاملة مع مؤسسات دولة الكويت من حيث الاستجابة السريعة وتجهيز المتطوعين من ضمن أفرقة مختلفة للاستجابة للطوارئ في سرعة قصوى. يعد متطوعين جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي من المتطوعين اللي تم تدريبهم مكثفاً في الإسعافات الأولية والاستجابة للكوارث والاستجابة الميدانية. تؤكد جمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي جاهزيتها الميدانية ورفع جاهزيتها من حيث الاستجابة للطوارئ في حالات اللي يتم ندائها. بالنسبة للمخزون الاستراتيجي لجمعية الهلال الأحمر الكويتي فإحنا على أتم الاستعداد للاستجابة في حال النداء من قبل مؤسسات حكومة دولة الكويت.
Top diplomats from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey have gathered in Islamabad for two-day talks with their Pakistani counterpart on the war, seeking to de-escalate the conflict. The talks on Sunday and Monday are being led by Pakistani Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, who announced on Saturday that Iran had allowed 20 more ships under the Pakistani flag, or 2 ships daily, to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The 4 countries' foreign ministers will hold in-depth discussions on a range of issues, including efforts to de-escalate tensions in the region during the two-day talks. All 4 nations have been involved in trying to mediate between Washington and Tehran in the war launched by the US on February 28th, and all are acutely vulnerable to threats to energy supplies and trade routes. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said the meeting would seek to establish a mechanism aimed at de-escalation. Pakistan has conveyed to Tehran a US proposal for ending the war and offered to host talks, with Iranian officials indicating any negotiations could take place in Pakistan or Turkey. US President Donald Trump has said that talks with Iran are going very well, but Tehran denies talking with Washington. Iran has been reviewing the 15-point US proposal, although one official has dismissed it as one-sided and unfair. Its demands range from dismantling Iran's nuclear program to curbing its missile development and effectively handing over control of the Strait of Hormuz. Turkey's Fidan told an Istanbul conference on Saturday that the world's new polycentric system requires a solution to guarding vital energy and trade routes. He said Turkey's high-level dialogue aims to swiftly chart out actionable steps to end the war before there is further destruction to the region and the global economy.
And joining us now via Zoom is Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Salehi, a Pakistani political analyst and researcher specializing in regional geopolitics and strategic affairs. He joins us as a pivotal moment as Islamabad is hosting high-level talks bringing together Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt, aimed at addressing the ongoing escalation in the region and explore pathways towards de-escalation. These meetings come as Pakistan positions itself as a key diplomatic intermediary between the United States and Iran, facilitating dialogue and coordinating regional efforts to contain the crisis. We will be discussing Pakistan's role in these efforts, the significance of the summit, and what it could mean for the broader trajectory of this conflict. Good evening, Doctor. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for you and your also the people who are watching the channel.
Now, Doctor, the upcoming summit in Islamabad bringing together Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, do you see this as primarily a security coordination, a political alignment, or something more strategic in nature?
Yeah, as you said, that it's basically it's a security coordination, political alignments, and all of these three you can mention. And one of the important thing that it is basically primary strategic crisis management they are doing for this issue. So formally, the Islamabad meeting brings together the foreign ministers of these four countries together to discuss how to de-escalate this war, and how also to save or open or find a way for the energy routes, and also the possible path to USA and Iran talks, so that they are trying only just to open a key, or to make it more than symbolic only politics, or it's not only just for example, they are making it institutionalizations or some for the alliance, but it is a strategic coordination platform. That's what they are doing. So security concerns here, in my opinion, that it's the immediate trigger which they are doing it, and also the political signaling is the visible layer that it comes under this. So today, now just before 1 hour, they are in meet. I mean, right now I think they have finished before half an hour or something like that. Mm-hmm. But tomorrow they will have their the joint press release regarding their meeting. So, and we can say that it's it's a deeper objectives that they are trying to prevent a wider regional breakdown that would damage the trade or oil flows or any internal instabilities among these countries, because as we know that these four countries of Islamic Ummah, they are the most populated, and the strongest people, and the influentials as well. And if there is, for example, maybe the effects, the situation, it's not in case, in terms of security or political alignments, definitely it affects also their internals as well.
Now, Doctor, what are the implications of Pakistan positioning itself as a driver of de-escalations in light of this ongoing development and rising tensions in the world?
Yeah, Pakistan basically, they are trying to convert their geography which they have it into a diplomacy. Yes, it is a neighbor to Iran, and also it has a very good relations with the USA, and also excellent relations with the Middle East. So by presenting itself as a de-escalator actor, Islamabad seeks these four gains at once: avoid being dragged into a wider conflicts, because they have also here like 40 million of Shia among of their populations. Also, it tries to protect its economy interests from the energy and shipping, and what we have seen. I mean, like only those ships with the Pakistani flags they can pass, so that it shows that there is, a good, type of relations or trust, we can say, with these countries. Also, improve its standing with in Washington. So the and reinforcements, definitely it is relevance into the Islamic world. So this is also a type of reputations, for Pakistan. So Pakistan wants to not only to be seen as all the time what we know, for example, from the media, or like a frontline state in security crisis, but also it can shows that no, we are also a state that can help and send a message, and also trying to work in backdoor channels for a good, relations between the countries, and to dissolve or to de-escalate the issues as well.
Now, Dr. Abdurrahman, we've seen talks of a U.S. proposal that Iran has already rejected. Do you see room for any amendments, or are diplomatic channels effectively stalled now?
Regarding the room, there are still, room for amendments. I mean, like the yes, the channels, even if it's now strained or something, but it's not dead yet. I mean, according to many, reports, like for example, what we have seen, that Pakistan has convoyed the 15 points of U.S. proposal to Tehran. But still, if there is different of rejections, yes, it's there. But now these four countries, they are trying also to make some pressurizations, for example, with on Tehran. In the same time, this diplomacy is not frozen yet. I mean, rather the two sides are still, bargaining through their through the mediators, from the positions that remains very far apart to date. But this is the only way. I mean, either they have to solve this issue, or to make like building a trust, or easing the things, de-escalating the situation, or they have to go, for like more worse crisis and prolonged war. So there is all the time there is a room. And for keeping the hope, at least. That's what they are doing. These four countries, at least now here.
Now, Doctor, from this quadrilateral meeting, can we see it realistically move from political messaging into actual practical framework, and sort of managing and containing the crisis and de-escalating the war?
Yeah, we can see that. But it is, limited, and also it has like, phased way. Maybe it will take like, phase 1, phase 2, or something like that. Yeah, it's unlikely, to produce, like a grand settlements within, after this meeting or something. But what it can, realistically do is build a practical framework around these three, items. Like, for example, the conflictations or the de-escalations mechanisms to reduce the risks over regional, spillover, and also like maritime stabilizations, understanding links to Hormuz and border shipping security. And also we can see that like a sequenced diplomatic channels for indirect, then the possibility, the direct of U.S. Tehran, contacts at the end. So the best case in these situations, they have only to build their architectures for the crisis, containments, we can say that.
Now, Dr. Rahman, unfortunately, we're quickly running out of time, but Before we let you go, I'd have one more question. How do you assess
Yes.
Pakistan's mediation role and capacity? Does Islamabad have leverage in the situation, or is its role contained by the broader geopolitical dynamics?
Pakistan, they have as we said at the beginning, that they have a very good relations, with these countries. So they are trying, as they say, that we are trying to host and facilitate up to date. Yes, Pakistan, they have a very good relations, as we say that since last year after the India-Pakistan war, and the Army of Chief Asim Munir opened a very good relations. I mean, with the U.S., they have a very good relations also with Tehran. They have a good relations with Saudi Arabia, and also they are also have a good relations with China. So yes, they are trying, their level best to come to some, results of it. But still, everything it's limited so far.
Well, Doctor, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this coverage and for shedding light on the geopolitical impacts of this quadrilateral meeting.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Abdurrahman As-Salehi, a political analyst from Pakistan. Now, folks, I would like to remind you that in times of crises and regional tensions, maintaining stability is not limited to the official institutions alone, but it extends to the awareness of the entire community. Citizens and residents alike form an essential part of the security and stability system through their adherence to official directives and their responsible handling of information. With the rapid spread of social media, rumors become one of the most serious challenges facing societies in such circumstances, as inaccurate information can contribute to anxiety or exaggerate events beyond their true scope. This underscores the importance of obtaining news from official and reliable sources and to refrain from sharing any unverified information. Community awareness, adherence to instructions, and responsible handling of information are fundamental factors that strengthen trust, maintain stability, and support the state's efforts in crisis management. As we come to the end of this special coverage, we have followed a rapidly evolving and complex regional landscape, one shaped by the escalating tensions, heightened political activity, and intensified diplomatic efforts aimed at preventing further deterioration. Throughout this coverage, we have heard from experts and analysts, examined the positions of key regional and international actors, and highlighted the significance of the ongoing initiatives, from high-level meetings to mediation efforts seeking to contain the crisis and open channels for dialogue. What remains clear is that the coming hours and days will be critical. The region stands at a delicate crossroad where decisions made on both the political and military fronts will shape not only the immediate outcomes, but the broader trajectory of stability and security. We will, of course, continue to follow all the developments closely and bring to you all the latest updates as they unfold. From all of us here, thank you all for watching and have a good evening.